Okay, friends, we're back. I'm going to finish up the almond milk, and I want to show you one more thing. How simple the tools are. Strainer. I'm going to take my almonds. I'm going to drain them. For some reason, this is the first time I've ever had this happen. They're actually sticking to the jar. Never had that happen before. Figures, doing a video, they're stuck. Okay. And they're probably soaked for, well, a little more than 8 hours probably. But if you can see them, they are a little more plumper. Okay. Then I'm just going to pour them into a blender, just a regular everyday blender. And you can see it makes more than a cup once they plump up. And then I'm just going to add the water. Now the water is just going to be 4 cups, and my blender has a measuring on the side, so I don't have to worry about measuring each one out and guessing. I do about 3.5 to 4. Now here's where the flavoring comes in handy. Normally I would say use vanilla extract. Honey, I always use a organic honey, okay? And what I do with the organic honey is that I melt it. Because if you put honey into cold water and a cold mixture, it's only going to get all lumpy and glumpy. You don't want that. You want it to be melted. So I'm going to melt this. Hang on. And I put it in the microwave probably 15 seconds. And the next thing I'm going to get is going to be my cinnamon and my vanilla, because that's the flavor I've decided I'm going to use today. Usually about a teaspoon. I ran out. Let me get a little bit more, and we will continue. Okay, so I usually eyeball it. I can measure out a teaspoon pretty easily. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to add a couple sprinkles of cinnamon. And then I'm not going to put the honey in yet. I'm going to drizzle the honey in. I want to get this started first. Now it's going to get really loud, okay? So I would mute your computer while you're watching this part, because it does get really loud, okay? So here we go. And you're not going to mix really long. You want to mix until you hear all the chopping is done. If you over mix it, they're going to be too fine, and they're going to slip through the cheesecloth or the nut bag that you use. So hang on to your ears. Here we go. Now before I'm done, I will now drizzle in the honey. Okay? I don't want to turn it on because it'll come shooting out. At least that's my experience before, because it's filled so high. Normally, if you did a half a batch at a time, it would probably work. And I would say a tablespoon of honey is probably all you need. Okay, here we go again. Get ready for the noise. Here we go. That's it. That's as long as it takes. It really doesn't take longer than that. Okay? Take the lid off, and you'll be able to see the almond milk. Very nice. And what I'm going to do now is, I ended up getting, you can use cheesecloth, that's fine. I bought a nut bag to use because it's a nice fine mesh. It's easy to work with. And then I'm going to tell you what else I want you to do with the almonds the almond grinds that you get out of this. Because believe it or not, I used to throw them away. Not anymore. And I'll show you why. I'm going to measure this out into a measuring cup, because it's a lot easier that way, and because the mesh bag, it fits into the, let me see if I can tip the camera for you. The measuring bag does fit in the jar, in the mason jar, but it's really easier to use it in an oversized measuring cup. So I'm going to pour that. Okay. I'll pour half at a time. And then as I pick it up, okay, it starts to drain. See, it's draining. All right. And I'm going to squeeze it out. You can see that. All right. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour the milk into the mason jar. Look at that nice creamy almond milk. And I'm going to take my grinds that are left from there, and I'm just going to put them in another dish, because I don't use flour anymore. I don't use regular flour. I don't use whole wheat, any of that. But I do use almond flour. So guess what? When you do this, you now can also make your own almond flour. And that's going to be another lesson, another day. So again, I'm just going to squeeze the bag to get all the almond milk out. As you can see, it's squeezing out. Okay, you hear that? All that almond milk. It makes about a quart, and let me tell you, it's delicious. Okay, and then I'm going to dump the meal in here. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so this, what we're going to do with it is we're going to let it dry out a little bit, and then I have another batch in the freezer. I'm going to add that to my other batch or freeze it separately, and then one day when I have the time and I'm ready, and I'll probably do it to show you, I will show you how we'll do that. We're going to dry it out, and then we're going to give it extra drying time in the oven, and then from there we are going to put it in a food processor and let it actually no, I probably won't use, yeah, I'll use a food processor. Yeah, I'll use a food processor. And that's going to bring it down to a fine meal. And so you can take the almond grounds and you can make almond flour for yourself. You know, almond flour can be a little expensive at the stores, but this is much easier to do it yourself. And then you'll have it. I have almond flour in my cabinet. I am a mason jar freak. I love mason jars. I put everything in mason jars. So it keeps better that way. So here's my jar of almond milk. Bon appetit. Enjoy. And I look forward to our next video together. Bye-bye.